Auguro a tutti voi amici piloti italiani della Audi 90 GTO IMSA in bocca al lupo per il campionato Kamel GT. Fatevi onore, date gas e tenete alto l'onore della mia Audi Racing preferita di sempre, l'Audi 90 IMSA GTO. Ciao e in bocca al lupo, tenete giù.
Best greetings to all drivers from the Audi GTO 90 Championship. Good success.
On the GTO side, Phil Lake managed to extend his points lead last week. But on the GTP side, Cy Andre has taken the top spot for the first time this season. However, his less than stellar performance at Barcelona has made it a small margin. Will Indianapolis be his chance to make things more comfortable? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 11 of the iRacing Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Indy's globally known oval will erupt with the sounds of its most famous race this weekend in the real world. However, our racing today won't be taking place around that layout. Instead, we tackle the road course. Let's head to our track guide to see what it's about. Welcome to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Though this track is by far more famous for its oval, which has been around for more than 100 years, road racing has become a regular feature thanks to the infield course built at the turn of the century. It has gone through multiple changes since then, but here on iRacing there are two road layouts to choose from. Both clock in at just over 2.5 miles, with the moto version including 16 turns and the road version having 13. The bike circuit is far less used on iRacing with its more technical start to the lap, but still runs in the traditional counterclockwise direction. The road circuit, however, runs clockwise and presents a stark contrast between the twisty infield portion and the incredibly fast half that runs on the oval. Passing is often difficult here, but by far the most popular spot is under braking down into turn 1. From there, drivers are taken through a series of corners with little chance to rest between them. However, the exit of turn 11 often proves to be the most critical of the corners, with it leading you back onto the oval. Taking what is usually turn 1 in reverse, drivers build up incredible speeds. This tends to cause slipstream battles to erupt and can often make for close, exciting finishes. Formula 1, IMSA, and MotoGP have all taken to the track, but currently IndyCar has become the biggest event the road circuit sees all year. Preceding the traditional practice and qualifying weeks leading to the Indianapolis 500, the Grand Prix of Indy has become one of the more desirable victories to claim. While there is still a proportionally small amount of history built on this version of Indianapolis, it's quickly becoming both a popular and well-used portion of this famous racetrack. See a little bit of Indianapolis, and although we're all kind of sad that real fans won't get to attend the 500 this weekend, at least virtually we'll all get to enjoy here. Adam?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like they planned this, Joe. It's only fitting that the Kamel GT series would visit the Indianapolis Motor Speedway's road course on what would be Legends Day, preceding the rescheduled 2020 Indy 500. This 2.6-mile, 4.2-kilometer clockwise course features 13 beastly turns, many of them low and medium-speed sweepers, and all but one of them is flat. This means that the Audis will be up for a challenge to modulate the throttle effectively to get maximum speed through the long apexes here at Indy. The Nissans will have to be very careful down through the tight turns 1 and 2 on the first couple of laps, as their cold tires will have a tendency to lock up on entry and spin on exit under the power of their turbo. Multi-class wise, the Nissans have a good 6 seconds per lap over the Audis, and the Audis will be struggling with tire temperature throughout the race. So it'll be up to the Nissans to predict where the Audis will end up in the corners and hope that they can feather the throttle quickly to find their way around on the flat. The best place to pass is on the oval's turn 1 and onto the front stretch, and also on the long back stretch where there's plenty of time to build up a run, especially for the Audis and the Nissan drivers who take low downforce today. This will be an interesting race for sure, Joe.
Yes, it tends to be a bit of a frustrating race in terms of those overtakes, as we've seen in the past, unless you get that slipstream well down the front stretch. Now, I talked a little bit about the championship. Let's start with the prototypes and where things sit now. Fabian Gerber didn't show up last week, so he is currently 5 points behind Cy Andra. Now, Cy only managed to third place. I say only managed, but he certainly had to work hard just to get that. But it did put him up front. However, he's got to watch out on those drop weeks because he did miss a number of rounds at the start of the season. Nick Bukanos jumps up 2 spots. He's a little ways away, and it's getting late in the season. He's a full win behind Cy Andra and then some, and actually behind almost a full win behind Fabian Gerber. So unless he has some significantly more wins like he got last week, I don't think he's going to be a part of this championship. Antti Lepisto and Tobias Gerber round out our top 5. Let's go to the GTOs as well.
Yeah, GTOs is still tight, but Phil Lake was able to pull that gap on Jamie Hall like you mentioned in the intro, so he's 12 points up right now. Rob Olenek 21 points back. That's going to be really hard to catch in these last couple of rounds of the season. So expect Jamie and Phil to be the ones duking it out for the lead. Yuko Leskola, unfortunately, not having a great race last week, lost third position back to Rob Olenek. Yuko's been making that recovery drive since missing the first couple of weeks of the season, and the drop weeks helped, but not that much. Yuri Jessen is our last driver in the top 5 in the points, and he is 76 points back of the leader right now.
And if we have any viewers who are tuning in for the first time, welcome to the Kamel GT series. I hope you're ready for a lot of action out on track. Now, we're in round 11 out of a 13-race season this time, one more than usual that we are running. And it is a 40-minute race. That's their standard length. It's a sprint race for them, essentially, that they're running with an open setup. So the drivers can do to both the Audi and the Nissan anything that they could in the real cars to try and get them set up and quick. There's no fast repairs, though, so if they get any sort of damage, well, they've got to come in for an unscheduled pit stop and get that repaired or just deal with it. And you can see they do have some penalties if they rack up the incidents, either a drive-through or a complete disqualification if they hit 25. Right now, we've got qualification going out on track, and we're actually almost done with some of the prototypes since they're just finishing up their second one. Before we get to reporting on that, we want to ask whether or not you're looking to take advantage of GSRC's over 1 million global monthly impressions. From official series sponsorships to commercial placements, we have advertising options customizable to suit your company's needs. Follow the link in the description below to learn more. Right now, up at the top, Roman Pawlowski, of all people, has managed to put it on pole. Now, I'm checking to see if Andra is even here today, and yes, he is. He's just starting his first lap time, so he's waiting a little bit here. I wonder if maybe hoping for a little bit cooler track, which now that I'm looking at him, it is a little bit toasty on the surface.
Yeah, 105 is hot. It's not the worst, but Cy is, wow, Yuko Leskola, you see right there, almost hitting the outside wall, unfortunately, on his second lap. But yeah, for Cy, I don't think it's the hottest temperature he's going to deal with. They might even get warmer for the actual race, so it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to work out. He's just coming around on the backstretch now, but Jamie Hall, he's got to put in a time, and he's got to be up there challenging Phil Lake. Otherwise, he's going to be in big trouble as far as the points are concerned because it's so hard to pass here. And also with so many long straights, if you lose the draft in the Audis, you're going to be losing a good 2-3 tenths a lap.
So as he crosses the line, first lap is a 1:25.9. That's only good enough for 6th, though. Jamie's going to need a lot more than that, especially considering Lake is on the provisional pole. And checking to see if there's anybody else that could maybe challenge. Not really seeing. Giesen sometimes is fast, but I don't know that he's going to have the pace. Yeah, indeed, Giesen just finished, so he's not going to be able to challenge for that. Cy Andras Actually, well, no, he just took his first lap just now because he disappeared on me. It's a 1:18.6, also a little bit slow. He's down in 7th, so a couple of our normal front runners struggling a little bit today.
Yeah, that's something that I've been noticing. I mean, Rob Olnick held provisional pole for quite a while until Phil Lake put in a really slamming lap. Michael Houghton has put in a lap good enough for second position right now, so it's going to be interesting to see whether Jamie Hall can get up there and snatch that from his teammate. Cy Andra, though, is going to be the one that he's going to be really pressured to try and get up there for the lead as well. But here's Jamie, currently 6th position. He's coming through that final technical sector, and Cy and Jamie are going to be finishing their laps around the same time. Jamie Hall coming onto the banking now. Cy Andre just coming through the last little twisty section before the banking. Let's see what Jamie's time is.
And we've got quite a margin to try and make up to our leader. In fact, over a second. It's a 25.6. That's not a second better. So where is that going to place him? On the second row, he'll be in 4th. Cy Andra, he's now coming out of the final corner with the reverse of turn 1, normally on the oval. It's a 17.9. That's more than half a second quicker, and that will put him on the front row. Andra goes to P2.
Holy smokes, that was a flying lap right there. Cy Andra, fantastic work. He was able to get that grip down the last couple of corners and was able to take away that second position from Laust Olsen.
That's going to set our qualifying. We had a few drivers that didn't get times in. We'll get to that. It's down in the GTO. So our prototype field, Roman Pawlowski on the pole. Let's see if he can convert that to a win. Andra is going to try and deny him as he's going to want to extend things over Fabian Gerber since he is once again not here. Laust Olsen starting in 3rd with a very different setup from Cy Andra from what we're told. Fabian Jungbluth starting P4 is then followed by Stefan Schlock, who's quite proud of this 5th place qualifying, it seems. Excuse me, Fabian Gerber is here. It's just I didn't see him. He's all the way down in 6. Wow. So Gerber starts on the 3rd row with Anders Simonsen in the 4th row behind him in 7th. Stephen Warkup starts P8. Nick Mukanos will be in 9th, followed by Pablo Suarez rounding out your top 10. Then on the next page, it's James King in 11th. Heitor Sintez Guindo in 12th, followed by Tobias Gerber, unusually low, down in P13. Hideki Koivisto, 14th for him today, with Martin Krejcik in P15. And then the last on the prototype field is Bronislav Robinek.
That's all the prototypes with times. And then we got Phil Lake, who starts off on pole today over Michael Houghton by, wow, almost 3/10. So a pretty good lap from Phil for sure on pace. And we've got Rob Olnick, who's looking fairly quick here. He's starting off in the 3rd position with Jamie Hall starting off on the outside of row 2. Reed Miller's going to start off in 5th. The position he seems to be in almost every race, with Yuko Leskola starting off in 6th position. Look for Yuko to try and make some way up the field towards the beginning of this race. We have Devin Donne, who's going to start off in the 7th position, with Yuri Giesen starting off in 8th. And we have Ryan Walker starting off 9th and Ryan Sorrell, the 2 Ryans, starting off 10th. They're starting right next to each other, with Miguel Alcalde starting off in 11th spot, Lucas Fort in 12th, and Michael Haynes is going to start off in the 13th spot. We have Devin Painter starting off 14th, and you get to your drivers who don't have times. That's Carlos Fonseca, Ryan Lang, Taylor Burris, and Vern Klukas, who are to round out your 18 car field in the Audis and the 34 car field for the race today.
Indeed, and that has me wondering, what is the traffic going to be like? I mean, they have this long stretch down to turn 1, but now that they get into the infield, is that going to cause a lot of problems for the prototypes once they catch the Audis?
It's going to cause a lot of problems for the prototypes at the beginning of the race. It's a really tight turns 1 and 2 here, and they are kind of sweeping with with long apexes. This makes it really difficult for the drivers to try and snake through the field and try and get through there cleanly. As we take a look with the Audis, they have the biggest trouble sticking to the apexes, so any side-by-side battling is really going to slow down the 2 drivers who are battling side-by-side through this infield as well. And then when you do catch up with the Audis and the Nissans right next to each other, the Nissans have to be careful to make sure that those Audis don't go wide on the apex while they're trying to sweep around the outside in the gray.
Getting a little bit of cloud cover right now, but unfortunately the temperatures have since gone up. It's 108 degrees Fahrenheit currently the drivers are dealing with. The other thing that I'm getting a little birdie in my ear, interestingly, saying that Rob, some of his pace might be due to a lot of crossweight put into the car to help him on the oval. Do you know anything about this little trick here, Adam?
I mean, it's a way to go fast on qualifying laps, but it also burns up your tires through the infield, so it's a risk-reward sort of scenario. That does set him up really, really well for passing opportunities into turn 1, so look for him to be pretty feisty on the oval portions.
I love this. Roman Pawlowski, who is a long stalwart in the Lotus 49 series, has painted his car, his Nissan, to look like a Lotus 49. So that is fantastic stuff there from the number 14. Maybe it's brought him a little bit of luck today. Let's see if it brings him enough luck to pull one over on Andra, who has been very quick this season and taken multiple wins. Pace car is in. And Pawlowski is off. Green flag is out here at Indianapolis. He's got a good jump over Andra, but it's a battle for third between Olsen and Jungbluth. Jungbluth to the outside as they hit the brakes here coming into turn 1. He's not quite as brave in the first portion of it, but he holds on around the outside. A little bit of side-by-side behind them in the mid-pack as well. One car off, getting some wheel spin. We'll get to that in a second. Otherwise, it looks clean. Let's go to the GTOs.
Phil Lake had the earliest jump I've ever seen from him. I think that's because he knows the threat going into turn 1. They're literally at the back of the GTP field right now. You can see it right there. That's Bronislav Romanek up there, and Phil Lake chasing them through. But Rob Olnick got caught out on that one. He's managed to retain second place out of that because of his crossweight. But Michael Houghton and Jamie Hall battling side by side. Ooh, that was close. Jamie trying to put a nose in. Can't quite get it done. There's an Audi off in the background. We'll get to that shortly.
Reed Miller tried to stick his nose in as well as he goes way wide coming out of turn 7. They're very clumped together here from 2nd to 5th in the GTOs. You can see they did not give the biggest of gaps back to the back of the field in the GTPs. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like they're getting too caught up in their mess, although...
Oh, Fabian Gerber's around!
Oh no, another mistake, and he's got big damage. He must have hit the Armco. And this is a self-made error. He spun himself off the corner.
This might be the nail in the coffin for his championship chances, Joe.
You're right, because, I mean, we're at the very end here. I think he's going to get most likely a 0. No, I think he could still recover if he can get the car repaired and get back out. But he's already got a 15-point drop week that he's probably going to have to claim. Meanwhile, Andra is still in 2nd place behind Pawlowski, who is leading our race. They actually have Laus Olsen relatively close back there. Olsen's been showing great pace these past few races, but as he has a little bit of a problem out of turn 7, he apparently has a lot more wing in than Andra does, which should theoretically make him stronger in this part of the circuit.
It will theoretically make him stronger, but when it comes to that straightaway, he's going to have a hard time passing Andra. But if he can stay tucked in under Andra's wing, he might have a great opportunity to follow Andra through if he's going to try and pass Roman Pawlowski. But Roman out there leading quite strongly, actually. Starting to close the gap, though.
Olsen, as we ride on board, has fallen back a good margin. I don't think he's close enough to really use that slipstream of Andra unless he can close in a little bit in the infield portion. Behind him, Fabian Jungbluth is starting to gain. In fact, Fabian might have a chance. He's going to look to the inside. He's going to try and outbrake him down into turn 1. And same thing with our leaders who are now side by side as Andres to the outside of Roman Pawlowski, and he can't quite get it done, it seems.
You know, Andra unable to get that job done. He really tried super hard at that one. Well, unfortunately, Roman Pawlowski, he seems to have a knack at this circuit to really make some speed. You can see just how much rotations Roman's got through the center of the corners. So he's definitely got probably a lot of camber into those front tires to try and get them to turn here.
Interesting stuff as they all come onto the backstretch one more time. Behind them, a little bit of a poke out from Stefan Schlacker, taking a look at Fabian Jungbluth, trying to see if he can get himself into 4th. They're fairly close still to Laus Olsen, so he could see himself in a podium position if things go well.
Yeah, I mean, Stefan Schlacker is very quick. He's been very quick throughout the season. The trouble is his consistency just hasn't been there. I'm looking for him to try and make his way up there and maybe pass Fabian.
Come onto the front stretch once again. Let's see if Andra gains one more time. Last time, I did not expect him to gain as much as he did. He really is trimmed out, and in fact, he is. Pawlowski going defensive, and he's going to be able to do it. How long can he put up with this, though, is the question.
It's a good question, but we should go to the GTOs because they're coming onto the banking now, and this is the best opportunity that Rob Olnick has had on the back of Phil Lake for a while. I mean, even with all that crossweight that Rob put into the car, he's not gaining that much through the banking. Phil Lake was able to stay on the throttle. Rob had to brake, and now, because of that, he can't catch up to the back of him into this sector. Michael Houghton still tucked in behind them, but Jamie Hull, who's been struggling, he's fallen back about a second from these guys.
Rob's only on a single win so far this season compared to Phil Lake's 6 that he has racked up. By far the winningest driver, which is why he is currently leading the points. Certainly got his work cut out for him to try and hold him back, though, because Olnick applying quite a bit of pressure, especially here in the infield, getting it to within 2 or 3 car lengths. Now they stretch apart on the backstretch.
Right, so he's got that crossweight set so it helps him in the right-hand turn, so that's why you're seeing him gain in the early parts of the infield. But watch Phil start to snake away here as we get into more of the left-handers in the tight turns. This is where that crossweight's actually going to be hurting Rob in trying to get the power down off of the corners. So you can see Phil starting to snake away there as they go through the sharp left-hand turns. But there's not that many left-hand turns on this circuit, Joe, so that crossweight's really helping Rob get speed on the corners, but you can see just how much he has to brake here. You can hear him off the throttle as he goes through the banking.
Now out of the final turn onto the front stretch, once again into the shade a little bit. So they come down to turn 1. He's gaining. He did get a pretty decent run. Not enough of one, though. Isn't able to get side by side with our leader. They're going to be interrupted by James King, who had to take a pit stop early in the prototypes and is just trying to get back with his own class.
And it's actually side by side right now for 5th position between Reed Miller and Yuko Leskola, who are going through the first sector as well. They've got Yuri Jessen behind them as company, and Reed Miller trying to hang on to that coveted 5th position that he runs all the time here. But Yuko Leskola, who lost positions on the start, is trying to recover and get back up there towards the top 5.
Inside of turn 6, and he's going to clear him before 7. That was critical. Leskola gets the spot. Miller is going to try and get the run off the corner. He actually does quite well. He's closing, but not enough. They hit the brakes down into turn 8, and he stays and settles in 6th place.
Yeah, good fighting from both of them for sure. Reed Miller trying to do his best to stay on the back of Yuko. Yuko's so quick, though. He has a real understanding of how this car particularly handles these sharp sectors. But look for Reed to be strong on the banking. That's where he's quite strong right now.
All right, let's see if he uses it well here. As they come on to the front stretch. Up ahead of them, not missing anything between Lake and Olnick. They're still pretty separated. Although, I think we had a problem with Tobias Gerber.
And he had help. Yeah, this was him and Stephen Warcup who got together through the infield.
Warcup's going to lose a position because of it as well.
Yeah, so here they come up to this sector. We're looking at Tobias Gerber, and he's looking a little bit slow through this sector here, and that's going to cause some issues. He's going to hit the brakes through here, and then we're going to see Stephen Warcup come up and just clip him. He didn't realize that Tobias was braking so early, and that's what sent him off.
And that was Pablo Suarez that managed to get by Stephen. There you can see that sent Tobias Gerber down to 12th. Warcup's almost got that spot back, though. Suarez is having to go defensive to hold on to P8 down into turn 1. There you see him in the white car to the inside. The blue car is Warcup, and he goes clear around the outside, making it look easy.
Yeah, if you can get that outside lane and make it work through turn 1, that's the best way to complete a pass, because the way it swaps back on you. Oh, wow, look at that. Suarez very loose through the corner, sliding all 4 tires. That means Martin Krejcik's going to feel some opportunities here and try and get that position back.
You can see they're all quite clumped together here, and Krejcik, Koivisto closing in on the back of him as they come onto the back stretch one more time, but a good recovery from Suarez. Very little wheel spin out of that right-hander is going to keep him clear. Now, interesting to note, up at the top of the prototypes, Roman Pawlowski's actually starting to gap Andre. It's up to 1.6 seconds now.
This is a little bit surprising, but considering how strong Roman was in qualifying, I guess we shouldn't be that surprised. This must be one of his, I don't know whether it's one of his favorite courses, but it seems to be the one that he performs the best at. Now, here's the thing. He's catching up to Audi GTO traffic. How he handles this traffic will determine a lot about how Andre is able to gain or lose time from him. It looks like Sai's going to be the one who gets caught out here because of Michael Haynes. He missed the apex due to Michael Haynes being at it there, and that's just going to be the case all the way around this infield sector for these GTPs. The Audis are going to be at the apexes, and if these GTPs are not assertive, they're going to lose a ton of time behind them. Remember, the delta between the Audis and the GTOs on this track is 6 seconds.
We had contact behind them. Fabian Jungbluth and Stefan Schlacher just got together. I think the traffic may have played a part in this because they were also trying to lap Haynes. Here's the replay. Let's see if we can figure this out. Yeah, they were trying to get to the inside. Schlacher saw an opportunity, and it's almost a carbon copy of what we saw before.
Yeah, but this time Jungbluth was moved over to the left to try and cover off the move from Stefan. Stefan didn't expect him to stick to his line. He expected him to go out wide to arc for that turn.
Oh, we got to go to the lead of the GTOs. It's a side-by-side battle, and Lake is going to be overtaken. Maybe not, because Olenek goes deep. Olenek has to give it back, and Lake successfully defends. Here comes Michael Houghton, though, seeing if he could get a piece of this.
Holy smokes, Rob Olenek using the Audi heritage of this GTO to try and slide it through that corner. Unfortunately, that wasn't the fastest way through, but Houghton's got a decent run now. And look at that, under shifting. Looks like Houghton had a good opportunity. He's going to actually drop out of the draft there. Fascinating stuff. I think he's trying to get Rob Olenek to move. If he doesn't stick in that draft, Robbo's just going to know that Michael can't get by. He's just going to stick to his guns. If Robbo can get a good run here onto the banking, that crossweight doing work for him, but he's having to wait a little bit for the fuel to burn off before the car's light enough for him to carry speed through these sectors.
But he's going to be off close here. Houghton's going to get a good run in the slipstream of Olenek. Let's see if he can maybe have a go at him down into turn 1. They swing it through the final corner out onto the front stretch. Olenek looks pretty solid. He's gaining on him, but I think he's going to run out of straightaway. It's a very early braking in these cars, and indeed, wow, Olenek though, look at that! Very good on the brakes. Olenek gets it right up to the bumper of Lake.
I mean, that is the beauty of the four-wheel drive of these things. You can get that, if you can get that the nose to rotate, you can afford to slide through the corners here. With it being 105 degrees, though, I'm curious as to how much that's going to pay off for him, considering all these medium and low-speed sweeping corners we have here. The Audis, I mean, his tires might start to go off halfway through this race. We're almost there already, and that could cause a problem for him later.
And that honestly has me wondering if that applies to the prototypes as well, because we've seen Pawlowski start to pull away, and I kind of wonder if maybe because Sai supposedly is a lower downforce, maybe he's sliding around more. Maybe his tires are going away quicker.
Remember when I said that not being in the draft is going to make you lose a couple tenths per lap? Jamie Hall lost positions on the start of this race, and Jamie is now back in fourth, 4 seconds behind Michael Houghton. He has a lot of work to do to try and get that.
Yeah, he's hurting.
Ooh, look at Sai in traffic.
It's not looking good, and you're right, Sai. Oh, he's got a lot of cars, but so does Pawlowski. Pawlowski's having to go around the outside of Lang, and that causes him an awkward line, but Andre had the exact same thing, going around the outside of Fonseca, so they stay about even, and it's still 1.3 seconds between them. Interestingly, they've dropped Laust Olsen, who was quite close to this fight earlier on.
Yeah, Laust, unfortunately, is not having the race pace here today. And actually, Stefan Schlacher's been gaining a little bit on him, so that battle will be interesting to watch. But these GTPs have not caught up to the GTO leaders yet, and I think that's going to be what defines this GTO lead battle, is when the GTPs make their way through the traffic.
Ooh, Jungbluth in a battle side by side. This is with Sintez Guindo coming through turn 1. Whoa! Oh, they come together. Sintez Guindo gets turned. Jungbluth's going to wait for him to try and give him the position, but is this going to mean War Cup? Yep, he's going to get 1, but not quite 2.
Yeah, Sintis-Guindo ended up drifting a little bit wide there. Jungbluth was still there and was not. Sintis-Guindo not able to get the power off of the corner. Jungbluth trying to get the power down to try and protect that position, and they came together.
3 times already we've seen cars make contact and lose positions because of it. Meanwhile, we've got to get back to the second place battle in the GTOs because Olenek is being hounded by Houghton, and he's got an even better run this time. He is going to stick his nose in, but he can't quite outbrake him. Comes back to the racing line.
It is so hard to pass around here. You really have to capitalize on the mistakes of the drivers ahead of you, because otherwise there's really no way to get by unless you just got them on raw pace. But with the pace of these 3 being so close together, they're just one after another. They just can't make it by. Rob Olenek can't seem to gain on Phil Lake. He's been stuck at about half a second for the last 3 laps. That's just how consistent and fast these leading Audi GTO drivers are.
This battle looks like it's going to continue through the infield. Wait, good enough for Houghton out of turn 7. Has to set him up once again. Oh, and did Andre just get some bad traffic? He's now 3.8 seconds behind Pawlowski.
And he's being caught by Olsen. Definitely traffic involved.
And double checking. I think it was the first few corners. I think he just got stuck behind somebody.
Yeah, and that's exactly what can happen around here, Joe, is that these corners are not long enough for the GTPs to be able to get good runs around the outside. And so they have to just sit behind those Audis. And now Andra almost 5 seconds behind Roman Pawlowski and under threat from Lars Olsen as they go to the banking.
This thing never ceases to amaze me how Camel Series just has swings and roundabout.
And P4 battles. In the GTOs is a battle. Jamie Hall just got passed by Hugo Leskala, who started off at 6th position. Wow, Jamie's day is not going well.
Certainly hurting his championship hopes. Here's the pass. Just got a good draft, slingshotted him. And then he was down to the inside. They were pretty even on the brakes there, it looks like. But eventually he had to give it up.
Yeah, Jamie just went a little deep into the corner, Joe, and that's what ended up costing him. But Jamie's race pace is not looking as strong as I think he would like right now.
I got some information on why we have a slow Andre. He got a slowdown penalty in turn 1 for cutting the course. Something that's very easy, surprisingly easy to do here.
Yeah, and now he's caught up in some really tough traffic. He's got Reed Miller at the moment that he's trying to get by, and he's not going to be able to do anything through this sector. If he can get him on the short chute out onto the banking, that might be his best opportunity. Here he goes to try and do that. He's going to get side-by-side, but he's going to have to concede the apex, so that'll give Lars Olsen the apex as well. They're able to get by. Let's see what Yuri does here. Yuri's going to go to the apex and force the GTPs around the outside. That's definitely a good move from Yuri. Otherwise, he's going to wash up there. Wow, Lars Olsen cutting it very close there, but he wants to stay tied to the back of that second-place driver.
I'm going to say, coming up to the exit of that corner and going to the outside of the GTO seems like a bit of a risky move, but he made it stick. Now they approach Jamie Hall after his recent loss of position. Interesting note about Roman Pawlowski. He has not finished in the top 5 at all in the broadcast races this season. So this, if he can keep this win, is very difficult overtake there for Andra. If he can keep this win, it'll be a significant improvement over his previous races.
It definitely will. Andra under some heavy pressure right now from Lars Olsen, but look at that. He goes for the late apex approach, and wow, watch him gap Lars Olsen here on the back straight. That was a great move from Sai to try and give himself a little bit of freedom. But now he's going to be stuck by Nico Leskala, and that entire advantage disappears.
And once again, they catch traffic at a horrible place. Leskala just stuck in front of them in one of the twistiest parts of the track. Now they'll have a bit of a better top end through this portion. You can see them blast by, accelerating much quicker than Leskala's boxy Audi. But Al Olsen, he got a great jump there. He's within the slipstream. He may have more wing in. And look at that. Andra immediately ducking a little bit to the inside just to cover him off. But it turns out he doesn't need it, as Olsen isn't close enough to attack down into turn 1.
I don't know, Joe. I think that little move there might have been the thing that separated Laust from making the pass on Sai. That little juke there, because Laust really took a lot of wheel to bring it down back into the draft of Sai and lost a lot of that forward momentum. So I think that move was great from Sayandra. It gave him the gap that he needed to be safe in the braking into turn 1.
We go by more of our lap traffic. Vern Lucas. Yours, Vern, from the forums, has joined us here today. Meanwhile, our lead over in the GTOs is still very, very close. Half a second between Lake and Oldenik. They've dropped Houghton by about a second and a half. And you can see we've actually got our GTP leader, Pawlowski, trying to lap them for the first time.
Yeah, and Rob Olnick got caught out a little bit behind Roman. The GTPs don't get off of the corner as quickly as the four-wheel drive, very planted Audis do. So look at that. Rob Olnick, just in one corner, loses a second, another half second, and is back to a second out from Phil Lake. He's going to have to try and gain that back. Phil, able to cool his tires a little bit, maybe take things a little bit easier through these first couple of corners to ensure that he's got pace. Here comes Sayandra, and he's going to try and make the braking. No, he has to stay behind Rob Olenick. That being said, this is the best sector to do that because the Audis are fairly slow through here. He's going to have to try and make his way around the outside through these next set of corners. Sai's just going to get stuck behind him, Joe.
That really took away a whole bunch that he had gained. Pawlowski got slowed up behind these two through the end of the infield. Now he's going to try and go around the outside, and so is Olsen. It kind of works, but doesn't get them by both of the cars. Once again, Rob Olenick getting the bad end of the stick, and Olsen has to check up big time to not get into the Audi.
I love this. Look at this on screen. We got two classes. We got 3 cars in one class, 2 cars in another class, and they're all just trying to find their way around as quick as they possibly can. It's great to see how they try to navigate this and trying to get the chess match and the puzzle pieces right.
And that's the exact area that I was just talking about. Pawlowski got caught up last time. He had lost about 2.5 seconds in that exchange. Olsen is pulling a lot of risky moves. He has got the bit between his teeth, knowing that he could maybe try and take the mighty Sayandra down a peg.
Yeah, Phil's not going to be happy about that one. I mean, you need all the room on the track on the exit of these fast corners in the Audis. But Laust, he's got his sights set on Sai, and he's not going to let anything, including the leader, take it away. Sayandra goes deep. That's definitely going to be a cut course penalty. Laust Olsen is on the outside. Is Sai going to try and defend this?
Tries his best, but it looks like there is just nothing there as he has to give back the time. Laust Olsen up to P2. Now here's where life gets tough. Remember, Laust has more wing in it, so Sai down the straightaway is going to have a very easy time running him down.
Yeah, man, look at that. Laust also clipping the apex. That's actually going to give him a slow launch off, but Sayandra, I don't know, he might have some floor damage from that. That was a pretty big jump over the infield there.
Right on board, see what the car looks like from his perspective as they weave it through the final set of S's. They come on main straight, and Michael Haynes is up ahead of him. Should be easy for them to try and get by there.
Where you'd see the damage would be here on the long straights, whether he's down on speed versus his last laps. He's going to have to go around the outside here of Michael Haynes. That was a little scary for him. He's able to get that done. Looks like he's still got pace, though. It's just, I think he's trying to cool down his tires in the last couple laps. But Laust Olsen up to second place. Sayandra, I mean, Fabian Gerber's out of this race, but Sai's going to want to try and maximize those points, and these lost positions are not helping.
Side
Oh,
by
wow,
side
it's
action between Schlacher and Mukanos. This is for 4th place. Mukanos able to hold on to it, and that's right behind our leader in the GTOs. Phil Lake takes a little bit of a peek to the inside, but Schlacher can't do anything with it. A little bit of a wide line there from Mukanos. Now he's got to try and figure out which way to go. Here into turn 6, picks the outside, tries to find the grip in the gray stuff. He's going to get through. Schlacher has to follow him.
Very tight between Schlacher and Phil Lake there. There you can see the advantage that the Audi has on the exit of the corners, but this is really giving an opportunity to Rob Olenick behind as well. But Nick Mukanos up 4 positions from his starting spot here. And actually, that's up 5, so Nick starting up in 10th, up to 5th position. well, almost up to 4th position now, doing a great job after getting that first win a couple rounds ago.
Certainly finally getting himself into the mix as he goes by Michael Haynes. See if Schlager can have another go at it. Down the front stretch, he looks like he's falling back a little bit, and he's not going into the slipstream. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he does have some right side damage that's affecting him, so unfortunately he's going to be a little slow there. He comes into the braking zone here. Oh, that was very sketchy with Devin Painter, unfortunately. So, wow, Devin a little bit wide there. Steph had to take some evasive action, almost sliding the car through turn 1.
And the temperature's gone back down to 105. Now, Rob Olenek, who was fighting for the lead, is now fighting to defend second place. Michael Houghton right behind him. We ride on board with Mike as they have a whole clump of cars that they're trying to navigate.
Yeah, it's just an interstate out there right now. We've got cars from all classes, cars with, you know, lapped GTPs, lapped GTOs. We got fast GTPs trying to come through. These guys have a lot of mental math they're doing right now to try and figure out what the quickest way around is when you've got all this traffic. But look at this, Rob Olenek starting to close the gap back up to Phil Lake because Phil's stuck behind Devin Painter here, who is a lapped GTO.
Behind them, Suarez and Sintez Galindo are fighting for 8th place. They were side by side. And, oh, they're going to split them. They've managed to make it work. Oh, they're going to try it again. Just barely sneaking through. That puts Olenek off the line. That'll compromise his speed. But Houghton looks like he got compromised as well, so I don't think he's going to be able to catch him. But that was scary for those Audi drivers.
It definitely was. Everybody's a little bit scared right now, I think, after that. But Rob Olenek now going to get caught up behind Devin Painter, a lap GTO as well. Devin's been taking the apexes cleanly. The trouble is he's just a little bit slow through the center of the corners, and Devin's actually going to go off, so that's going to free up Rob and Michael to fight once more.
Devin making use of that four-wheel drive. It means that kitty litter as Houghton stays right on the back of Olenek. I think we get so used to seeing Indy cars around here and being able to just punch it through those corners at such high speeds. It's so easy to forget GT cars and cars like these Audis just cannot take it so easily through that fast corner.
Absolutely not. They're lifting, if not braking, through that sector. The Audis have a good enough turbo that you can lift and actually be okay with as far as like keeping your boost spooled up. But some of the drivers actually prefer to just trail brake through those corners a little bit and try and keep the boost all spooled up there. You'll see that with Rob. He tends to brake through the banking, whereas Michael Houghton lifts.
Onto the front stretch once again. This is the battle for second that we're watching. And they are back to within 1.5 seconds of Phil Lake. It doesn't look like this one's good enough for Michael Houghton. And I think they're going to be split even by Hideki Koivisto, who's now coming up behind the pair. There you see him. He's going to get one.
No.
He thinks about getting two. No, he's going to get into him. Rob Olenek gets turned, and he catches the car, but he loses the position.
That was really ambitious. Rob getting forced off the track again by Martin Kraytrick. Rob is going to be livid under that hood.
Yeah, I can imagine the obscenities that are being screamed right now in the cockpit. Here's the replay once again. I thought for sure that Koivisto was just going to try and slot in between.
They wanted both, and unfortunately takes it way too deep into turn one. Rob Olenek already was turning in by the time that Hideki was arriving on the scene. Rob has to take the apex in that scenario. Doesn't expect Hideki to be coming in at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, and, well, he's still got to lap him, too. Koivisto, you can see him behind in the purple and green machine. So the good news, I guess, is that it was damage limitation. Olenek didn't go completely around. He's 2.5 seconds behind Houghton. And, well, you know, the pendulum swings both ways, so Houghton could run into his own issues with traffic.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really unfortunate because Bravo was holding off Michael so well, and he had worked so hard to get by initially, but now he's got to work back that gap. It's going to be That's a lot of work on some pretty spent tires now that he's had two major moments in that first sector. And look at this. Here comes Michael Houghton and getting passed by Hideki Koivisto.
Yeah, he finally gets by. And I'm sure there was a bit of a virtual shake of the fist there from Rob Olenek as he went through. Maybe a few other gestures on top of it. Let's go to Sintez Guindo once more. He's still battling with Suarez, and this is still for 8th place. This is, in fact, our closest fight now in the prototypes here in the mid-pack.
Yeah, Suarez is trying to get his way by, but Sintez Guindo is getting those exits really efficiently. So that's allowing him to stay ahead of Suarez. But Suarez has got a decent gap to Guindo coming onto this front stretch. Guindo using the apex a little bit. That might be strategy. Let's see whether or not Suarez can try and make the move here. It's going to be close.
He's got a good run, a very good run. Not covering the inside. Sintez Guindo lets him get his nose in, outbreaks him into the corner. But look at that around the outside. Sintez Guindo nearly defends it successfully. It's going to carry on down through 2, through turn 3. It's another right hand here in 4. It's going to be very difficult for Sintez Guindo because it's 3 in a row off to the opposite side. But still he makes it stick all the way into turn 6 where he finally is going to get the inside. Down through this long left-hander, and somehow Suarez is also not willing to give up. Oh, he almost gets into the side of him as they break hard down into 7, and it's a drag race down the backstretch with Suarez loses out on too much wheel spin, and Sintez Guindo is still in 8th.
Yeah, if you run the GTP a lot, you're actually going to prefer that outside line because of the slow speeds of these corners. The outside line gives you some more downforce, and if you've got a feather touch on that throttle, you're actually going to prefer being around the outside for those sweepers, getting the extra downforce to help you out. But look at this, Suarez with a great run on Guindo here, but is he going to have an opportunity? He's going to try and take the inside as we go up onto the banking.
High side at 170 miles an hour around the sweeping right-hander of the final turn. Another drag race, this time down to turn 1. A little bit of a bad exit for Suarez, and he actually ducks right back into the racing line and gives up the ghost on that fight, at least for the time being. What a battle that was, though. Let's give a quick update for those who haven't been watching the tower. Pawlowski, with less than 10 minutes to go, is still 6 seconds ahead of current second-place driver Laust Olsen. And Cy Andra, once again, finding himself not able to do as good as maybe he would have wanted, with Fabian Gerber having a bad day today, which, by the way, Gerber did retire, unfortunately, so it is a no score for him.
Yeah, I'm pretty much convinced that Cy Andra at this point does have some floor damage. I mean, he's 2.6 seconds behind Laust after being quicker than him throughout the beginning of this race. So Cy's kind of in recovery mode at this point.
Still going to be a good points day for him. He's going to get a huge jump over Gerber, who I believe should at least get those 15 points from his drop week. But now he'll have all zeros, unfortunately, which means he cannot afford any more mistakes in the final 2 rounds. Back to our battle for second place, Michael Houghton ahead of Rob Olenek. And they're going to have Martin Krejcik possibly interrupting here.
Rob Olenek trying to get his way through, and that's Bronislav Robanek who's tucked in behind them there, trying to make his way through. So let's see where Bronislav decides to put his GTP. He's going to try and go around the outside. That's going to take away speed from Rob Olenek. You can see Michael Houghton actually covering off the inside of the apex there. He's saying, no, this is mine. I need it. All right, so here they go as they head towards the turn 1. Looks like Rob actually got a better exit off of Indy turn 1. So here they go into turn 1 of the road course.
Right there. Also, we had a problem for Fabian Jungbluth. And, that involves some traffic, actually. I think he got into Ryan Sorrell and Devin Painter. Not get a replay on that one, but it cost him a lot of time and damage.
Yeah, Rob is right back up to the back of Michael, and you know he's going to have a fire under his bonnet at this point because he's definitely going to want to get by Michael after getting put off by Hideki Koivisto. He's going to be driving like a man possessed at this point, trying to get as many positions back as possible. You can see him actually pushing the car a little bit too hard there, having used the four-wheel drive on exit, loses speed to Hylton.
Like you said, red mist is probably down. So Houghton, oh, he gets very close through this portion of the track. Yeah, if I was Houghton, I'd be a little bit wary of what kind of moves are going to come out of Rob Olenek. I'm sure he is feeling feisty now.
Yeah, I'd expect some late braking into turn one if I was Michael Houghton. I'd leave that inside wide open so that Robbo could try and take his way through. And maybe if I expected to take some late braking, just kind of wait for him to do it and then trying to get the over-under on him into turn one.
Get the run. So not sure if he got damage from that contact, and maybe coming through the final corner isn't as strong as it was before for Olenek. They both break down into turn one. It was strong braking for the number 4, not strong enough to have a go though. 5 minutes left now. We are in the dying stages, and anybody who does want that position is going to have to make a move soon.
Yeah, it's this lap. You got probably about 3, maybe 4 laps left for the Nissans. So it's definitely time to really get by. We're currently on 4 to go at the moment for Roman at his current pace. So it'll be 3 to go next time by for Roman. Lars Olsen managed to close the gap. It's down to about 4 seconds, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be on traffic and not on pace.
It's going to be a joyous day for Pawlowski if he continues to hold on to it. Not so much for this man that he's trying to pass, Jamie Hall. That gap, which was 12 points when they came into this race, unfortunately, is going to be extended by a decent margin. Blake looking at 25 for his position and only looks like 18 for 4th place. Or no, 5th place, excuse me. So 16 points for Jamie Hall. That's almost going to be insurmountable unless Phil Lake runs into issues in the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, Phil has had issues before, Joe. He's had some of the worst luck in this series. Oh, and look at this. The battle for P2 actually still very close. Rob Olenek looking to the inside of Michael Houghton, who actually covers him off into one quite early. I think that's just going to make Rob even more frustrated.
That dive we were talking about, he was sending it for sure. And he's still all over the back of him. A little mistake is all he needs. And he could maybe sneak through on Houghton. Maybe not here, since Houghton has a great run in the infield so far.
And Ryan Walker actually is trying to make a pass right now on Reed Miller going into turn 1. This is for 7th place of the GTOs. Reed Miller actually hit the outside of the wall on the exit of the final turn. So that allowed Ryan Walker to get through, and Reed actually has some damage at this point. Reed, who started off in 5th, has been dropping back. Not a great race for him either.
Hey, Ryan Walker seems to have seen quite a bit of improvement. He hopped over from the SRF as being his usual car and tended to be a little bit lower down here in the Audis, but he's running with a top 10 today. So a fine job, and obviously has some overtakes in him here at the end. Go back to Olenek though. Olenek's looking very good.
Oh no!
Oh no, and he gets the wall. Too good out of the final corner. You know, he doesn't drop a whole lot. Maybe it was a light enough brush. He got away with it. It certainly scuppered his chances.
He's got front left damage. That's going to affect him through the infield. But in the draft of Michael Houghton, it's not going to matter. Ooh, yeah, that front left drive is not coming from that wheel anymore. That's definitely going to affect his pace through this infield sector. He can compensate. It's possible to do. You just have to adjust your driving style a little bit. But, oh man, it's going to be a tough break for him. 2 minutes to go. That's about 2 laps for these guys. We have Angelica Pawlowski coming around, so I believe it will be 2 to go for these guys once Roman comes around.
Pulling a little bit of that Taku mentality. No attack, no chance for Rob Olenek. Oh, a bad exit though. And boy, you can really see the damage from this angle on viewers right of that car. Just buckled in, unfortunately. Let's hurt him in straight line speed here. Let's see. Will this hurt his right hand corners too? Will he find himself struggling? A little bit of suspension damage on the left side of the car. Here come off of the penultimate turn, now into the final corner. I think car looks okay.
Yeah, I mean, you do rely on that left front, the left front drive in order to get some good speed through fast corners when it comes to the four-wheel drive machines. I mean, this thing barely has any downforce on the front of this machine at all, so that's what they're relying on now. They have Roman Pawlowski tucked in behind them, and it's his white flag lap this time by. So these guys are going to be one lap to go as soon as Roman gets by.
Yeah, and he can't sit around behind them. It's only 4 seconds back to Olsen. And I'm pretty sure there's enough of a disparity between them. Yeah, I'd say that they're way too slow for him to be able to wait because he'd lose the spot. He is taking his time, though. He's being incredibly patient, and Olsen's gaining. You can see him in the picture now. He can't hold back here too long. He's got to go.
Yeah, Robbo moves over to the side to let Roman go. He knows that Roman has the pace and is fighting for the lead right now. But Roman lost about 3 seconds in that exchange. Laus is down to 2 seconds behind him, but I don't think it's going to matter. This is the final time they're going to go through this sector. Roman Pawlowski just needs to get a good run through the oval sector in order to make a win here.
There he goes. So for the first time this season, it will be not only a top 5, not only a podium, but a win for Roman Pawlowski flying the Lotus 49 colors here in the Kamel GT series.
Phil's got to go all the way around, but I'd like to keep our eyes on P7 right now. That's between Heitor Santiago and Pablo Suarez. Suarez still trying to make this work, and he's got one more corner to do it here. They've got some lapped Audis ahead of them. This might define this battle between these guys. Look at this. They're just going to smoke past Lucas Fort and Taylor Burris, but it's Yuri Gieson on the apex that might make things interesting here.
Squeezing by, he's got to run, but it's going to come up quick, and it's going to be Sintez Guindo just by a little more than half a car length. Geese hitting on the radio, probably pretty exciting finish for him as well, but it is a victory lap for this man. Phil Lake was the only one not to be lapped that last time by Pawlowski, so with Houghton clinching second, with Olenek clinching third, Phil Lake can just cruise around to victory.
Yeah, he's not taking too many risks because he still does need to finish, because otherwise he would not be classified. But you can see him taking a little bit of slide through these corners. I think that Phil Lake's going to be very happy with that performance today. A lot of consistency and some great pace from him to keep him ahead of Michael Houghton and Rob Olenek in the early stages of this race.
Topping more than half of the season won by this man, Phil Lake takes win number 7, and it's here at Indianapolis. That's going to wrap things up with our checkered flag flying at the Brickyard. We're going to come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We just watched round 11 in the Kamel GT series, and this round and last round have been all about the championship developments. Pawlowski, though, was the man of the hour. He took the win. They're up at the top from pole, and I'd have to say, as a big clap on the back deserved there for Roman for what was not a dominant win, but certainly a commanding one. Laust Olsen followed him to second, interestingly over Cy Andre, who seemed to have some damage from his couple incidents where he went off into the grass, and that certainly hurt his speed today. Still got another podium like last week. Nick Mukanos with a well-earned fourth from ninth on the grid. And then Stephen Warkup took P5. Stefan Schlacker, who was quick early on, also got some damage and fell down the order, winding up with sixth place. Unfortunately, not able to capitalize on his good qualifying today. Sintez Guindo with a 7th out of 12th on the grid, and Suarez finishing P8. Martin Krejcik with a 9th, and James King grabs a top 10 today. Hideki Koivisto finishes 11th, and the last of our finishers of the prototypes, a lot of DNFs in that class, was Robanek in 12th. Jungbluth, Tobias Gerber, Fabian Gerber, and Anders Simonsen all didn't see the checkered flag.
The top three in the GTOs are as they gridded. Phil Lake takes the win with Michael Houghton finishing second, and Rob Olenek, after a hard-fought battle with both Phil and Michael, comes home in third. Hugo Leskala is able to climb his way up from 6th to 4th position, which, considering how spread out they were, is actually quite a feat. Jamie Hall not having the race that he would have liked right now. It looks like he only dropped one position, but he was at second at one point, down to 5th position. With Yuri Jason rounding out your top 6 there. And we have Ryan Walker, who climbed up to 7th spot. A great drive from him, beating out Reed Miller, who had some damage after hitting the outside wall, coming through the final sector in 8th. Miguel Alcalde comes home in 9th position, with Ryan coming home in 10th and 11th. And we have Carlos Fonseca coming home in 12th. Not the greatest race for him today. Michael Haynes in 13th. Devin Painter 14th. Vern Klukas 15th. Taylor Briss 16th. Lucas Fort 17th. And Devin Done rounding out your 18-car GTO field and 32-car field for the race.
Got our winner in the GTOs with us. Phil Lake claims another win. Phil, it is now more than half the season that you have topped the points, and you've extended it over Jamie Hall today. There's still 2 rounds left to go, though. How safe are you feeling?
Not particularly, because Jamie's had an absolutely amazing season. Today's the first race he hasn't finished on the podium, so his drop weeks are a lot stronger than mine, so I need to be consistent for the last 2 races. But it's definitely doable, so I just got to put in the laps and stay out of trouble for 2 more races.
Turn our eyes to today then, and you obviously had a little bit of a threat from Rob Olenek before he and Michael started squabbling amongst each other. I mean, what was going through your head when you had Rob trying to challenge? Did you think he could take it to you today, or did you feel confident in your pace?
It was definitely a threat. I knew from practice that he had good pace, and he was putting a lot of pressure on me in the first half of the race, and it was actually quite nice to see them start battling and just get a little bit of a gap, and I could settle down. I was overdriving the car a little bit early on, and I didn't do particularly well under pressure today.
Well, we heard a little bit of behind-the-scenes information that apparently there was some crossweight shenanigans going on with Rob Olenek. Did you have anything special on the car with this being a slightly unusual track?
No. Although it is kind of part oval, it's quite flat and it's just one corner, so I didn't really feel like I kind of needed to go down a kind of weird setup route for today. And I considered using my Monza set, which I ran weird cambers on, but because most of the corners are right-handers, and that's the same here, but in the end I just went with a regular setup.
Well, seems like it served you well because it netted you the win. Congratulations. Anybody you want to thank before you take off?
Just all the usual people, the Dirty Talk guys, you guys, and that's it. So thanks, guys.
Still in and around the lake, winning race number 7 for him this season. And up next, we got second place finisher in the GTPs. Adam is caught up with Laust Olsen.
Yeah, Laust, a really good race from you. A great battle between you and Sai Andra. Talk to me about that battle throughout the midpoint of this race.
Yeah, it was a really good race for once. I think Sai had less downforce than me, so even though I could keep up in the corners when we came to the straight, I simply couldn't do anything. So actually, I didn't have much of a chance to overtake him. But then he overshot the first corner and got a slowdown, and as soon as I got 1 second on him, it looked like he wasn't able to come back. So yeah, that was a great race.
Yeah, and you've actually improved significantly over the last couple of seasons. What do you think has been making the difference as far as improving your race competitiveness?
A lot more practice than previously, and then I'm learning the car, and it's really fun and challenging to drive, and I like it. I'm not sure why I'm this competitive in this series, because it's not what I experience in other series, but this car certainly suits me well. So yeah.
Yeah, an excellent drive today. And how was the traffic out there for you? I noticed that a couple of people seemed to have some trouble with it, but was it tough for you?
Not really. I think there was a couple of times I chose the wrong way around, but a little patience, and I think everything was okay. So no bad experiences for me.
All right, is there anyone you'd like to thank today for your second place finish?
Yeah, actually, my father, who faithfully sits every race and watches them and acts as my crew chief. So he's a great support. And then you guys for a great show. I enjoy rewatching it some in the following days. So yeah, thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us, Laust, and we look forward to seeing you next week. That was
Thank
Laust
you.
Olsen, our second place finisher in the GTPs, and we have Michael Houghton, our second place finisher in the GTOs, to talk to Joe.
He unfortunately didn't get that extra lap that Phil Lake did, but he had to hold off Rob Olenek at the end. Michael, how are your feelings on this second place? Does it seem more lucky, or do you think this is something that you expected for yourself? Because that traffic certainly helped you in the middle of the race.
Yeah, that definitely helps. But I think that with the pace we had today, we could have attempted a pass for second anyway. So I'm satisfied with a second place position.
Obviously. Now, there was a little bit of a shot at the lead because the three of you were all together at the beginning. Do you attribute you two losing Phil Lake more to you battling or more to the traffic today? Because there were certainly some scary moments that we saw with the GTPs.
I'd say both. We encountered a lot of Nissans in the twisties, and Phil, I believe, had more Nissans on the oval, so it was a little harder for us to keep up, and also battling amongst ourselves didn't help keeping up with Phil. So yeah, maybe we can strategize a plan for next time.
Even still, this is a well-earned podium out there today. You're coming into 2 more races left in the season, but you're not in the championship. So what are your goals for the last 2 rounds? Get that win?
Possibly. Just put on a good show and come back next season and run all the races.
All right. Well, thanks for coming and talking to us. And hopefully we'll get a couple more interviews in these last 2 rounds.
So too. Thank you, guys.
Houghton finishing P2 in the GTOs. And finally, 3rd place in the prototypes, but still our championship leader, Sai Andra, is talking to Adam.
Yeah, Sai, we noticed early on that Fabian Gerber had his spin and went off and retired from the race. Were you aware of that as you went around?
I noticed he dropped off my relative, so I figured he had a little bit of trouble, but only just a few minutes ago I saw the replay. It just looks like Wing 1 got him. I think a lot of people were kind of gambling myself included, with how little wing we could run, and I think Fabian just got bit.
Absolutely. And then talk to me about the rest of the race. He had some nice battles with Laust Olsen throughout the race, but it seemed like Roman Pavlovsky just had the pace on you today.
The competition in this series has gone up quite a bit since the beginning of the season. People like Laust has always been there, but now he's putting out a pace that I had trouble keeping up with. Same thing with Roman and everybody else. Like even Nicholas Makanos was right behind me, and he would have been there had I made a mistake. I think honestly, it was the level of competition has gone right up. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another, maybe 1 or 2 different winners this season.
Yeah, it's awesome to see the level of competition this high. But that being said, I mean, what do you think the difference was for the pace today? Do you think it was your setup, or is this just not one of your better tracks?
I think it's a combination of not being my best tracks. I typically don't like road courses if it isn't Daytona. But even Daytona, it's not my best track. But I would say it was me gambling on my rear wing. I knew that Fabian would be running low downforce, and I didn't want to be stuck behind him the entire race. So I kind of played at that and took down a couple clicks off my rear wing. I was down to 5, I believe, and I think Laust and Roman were at 7 or 8. And that kind of contributed. So the idea was just to get in front and then park the bus for the whole race. But when Roman held me off the first few times I got alongside him into turn 1, my tires went off, and after that it was just damage reduction.
All right, Sai, was there anyone you'd like to thank for your 3rd place finish today?
Well, me mostly for just locking up the tires a little bit too often, letting Laust by. But aside from that, not much else.
All right, Sai, well, thanks for joining us, and we wish you better luck for next week, and we look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
That was Sai Andra, our 3rd place finisher in the GTPs, and we have Roman Pavlovsky, who's going to talk to Joe Peak, our winner in the GTPs.
Off to celebrate, and Mick Claridge grabbed him by the hand and said, "You got to go do your interview." So we've got Roman in here with us. Congratulations. This is a pretty incredible jump for you. Not only have you never been on the podium here in Camel during the broadcast races, but we noticed you've never even been in the top 5. So this has got to feel extremely good. No, might not have Roman with his mic completely set up here. Roman, do you got a copy? No, it's his first time ever actually being interviewed by us here on the channel. Being very fast over in the Lotus 49 series. Hasn't over there. Now I think we got Roman one more time. Do you have a copy? No, still nothing.
Can you hear me?
Now we got you. Hey, Roman, how's it feel getting your first victory in the Camel series on broadcast? Oh, he might not be able to hear us.
It feels good. Just to clear up the problem, I
think he's got the broadcast in the background, so we're getting a bit of an echo, unfortunately. Roman, if you can, make sure you've got your headphones set up to the right output here so we can talk to you here on Discord. But this was actually pretty exciting for us, having watched you race on the broadcast for a number of years now and see you suddenly be able to challenge. Is this a specialty track for you? Looks like, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get Roman with answers here. So we'll try and get him set up for another time and bring him in and get a full interview. Sad that we don't get a full one down today. But again, a big congratulations to Pavlovsky for his first win here in Camel. So closing out, one more time, we want to ask whether or not you're looking to take advantage of GSRC's over 1 million global monthly impressions, because from official series sponsorships to commercial placements, we actually have advertising options customizable to suit your company's needs. Follow the link in the description below if you think you could advertise here on GSRC. Thanks goes out to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast, which you can see listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media page on Twitter. It's at GSR channel, and Facebook is Global Sim Racing channel, as well as Instagram, which is GSRC_Graham. We've got a merchandise store. It's linked down in the YouTube description below. It's just gsrc.storeenvy.com. And if you're down there, please subscribe to the channel. It's a big red button that says subscribe if you haven't done so yet, so you can't miss it. The next race is going to be at Detroit. Boy, you talk about a punishing track. That'll be Saturday, August 29th at 1 p.m. Eastern, which traditionally follows the real Indy race currently in IndyCar, interestingly enough. We've also got other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Coming up a little bit later tonight, the Bootleg Racing League will be starting at 9 p.m. Eastern, so definitely check them out. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.